and that's the whole point. Let's talk a little bit about, this is actually your experience section, and we'll go kind of quickly. There's different sections within LinkedIn profile that you want to fill out. Can you highlight a couple of things on here that might particularly apply to your friends in Greek life?
Yeah, so I included paid positions and also a position I've had within my sorority. So I didn't include every position that I've had in my sorority, but I chose the one where I was director of apparel just because the experiences I had and what I was creating aligns with part of kind of what I want to do. And I think that it was a great experience for me on developing things and executing them. And we were talking about with experiences in Greek life that you should include them on your profile if if it's philanthropy or if you gained a certain leadership experience, but you have to be kind of able to articulate how it positively affected you. And if someone asks me, why is director of apparel on there? I'll be like, because I made a bunch of cool clothes and distributed them and executed it, and it was awesome. And so it shows that I was involved in college and involved in my organization, and that it wasn't a paid position. And so I think experiences, I think that's a great place to show that off. And if I go to the next side, there's also a service section. So if you're very involved within your organization's philanthropy, you can include that here, and you can link to any project you've done or any type of website or anything. And I think that it shows how involved you were in college and how you were passionate about something. And I think that it's a way to kind of show something you did on your own time that was valuable to your community in college.
Yeah, I think you hit on like the words when you were talking that I think are important, that when you're trying to make that decision of, do I include this or do I not? Think that you want to be intentional in it. You want to know the why you're putting it on there, because you don't have to list either on your resume or here everything you've done. You pointed that out. So be intentional about it. Think about it in terms of how is it transferable or relevant. So you may not ever plan to be a clothes designer, but you were able to use terminology when you were just describing that, like I executed these things. A lot of times we'll encourage folks to mention how they've collaborated or done teamwork. So even if you don't have a leadership position, if you worked as part of a team, that's something that employers really want to know. That's one of the highest, that and communication are what employers are looking for. And so you can, as long as you can tell me and think about it in terms, not in terms of like how it was described even, but what skills you developed, then include it and quantify it if it's a number that you think is impressive. If you're coordinating an event for 225 people and you're the liaison to the vendors and you're handling that communication, that's a huge achievement. Nobody ever paid you for that, but that's something you want to document. So I think it's great to really, yours was a great example of experience and how you feature your Greek life. And as we've talked, I know many of you spend a lot of time and give back to your community, your either JMU community or the broader community here in Harrisonburg at home. And so show us that you're that well-rounded individual and that you went the extra mile.
Yeah, I think those are all really good points about showing how you went the extra mile, and just if you can quantify it, that's great, because I know a lot of organizations have raised a lot of money and have done a lot of really great things, and so why not show it off?
Right. And even I know sometimes I've had students say to me, well, I personally only raised 100, but like my organization raised 2,000 or whatever it is. Just be clear in your language. Worked with other members, so that it doesn't take away from your team, but you want to properly characterize it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
Oh, you've mentioned this before.
Yeah.
So this is an
Oh,
example of somebody linking to something that they achieved, but also I know you do some original writing for your,
yeah. So, I didn't know about this until Colleen told me about it, but you can link in your profile, or within your experience section or your service section or education section, you can link in, like portfolios or any research you've done or any published work you've done. Um, and it's a great way to kind of show things you've created and kind of different interests you might have. And you can also highlight those at the top of your profile with the featured option, which I like to do because with the featured option on your profile on LinkedIn, when someone clicks on your profile, it is like featured, and then it's like, I think it's like 3 or 4 things you can have. And I like to write and kind of create original, I guess, thoughts about things. And so it's kind of a great place for people to get a snapshot of projects I've done or things I've written that I love. And if they could read one thing I've written, it would be that. So it's a great tool that LinkedIn has, is that featured and also highlighting any publications or portfolios or kind of anything you've done that connects with your experiences or service.
right? I think the next slide, do we have a featured?
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I think, for example, I think it's a really great thing to think about is when you come back in August or September from an internship to write a featured, a little writing about what that experience was like. I mean, that's up there with a thank you note to the folks that gave you the internship to show. And again, a lot of this is about showing rather than telling. So Kelly can tell me all day long that she's a great communicator, but it speaks more loudly for me to read her writing, particularly about her research and where she's able to demonstrate her knowledge that she's acquired through her internships and through her independent research. So use these pieces of LinkedIn, featured, the activity, which means like articles that you like or comment on, to, again, we're going to circle back to tell that kind of authentic self. So I know, Kelly, you do a lot of that and you have featured. So you were just, I agree with Kelly, just use this section.
Yeah, I think as we've been talking about LinkedIn versus resume, or why LinkedIn is something you should invest, your time in, it's just a way to create a vivid experience for whoever is looking at you in a professional context, because I think that it's such a great way for people to experience who you are as a communicator or as an educator or as a researcher or as a student. And I think it's just a way you can really set yourself apart. And I love LinkedIn.
Oh, I love that phrase, vivid experience, because I think I've disappointed students that have come to me for resume reviews, and if they've used Canva or they've used lines and they've used some formatting on the resume, and I just have to own this, I'll tend to tell people to simplify a resume. Resume is going to be looked at in 30 seconds. Unless you're a graphic design major, it's not generally the document where you're going to demonstrate your creativity, except that you write well. And so this is the place to bring your creativity and to show your personality more. The resume, I want to be able to look at it in 30 seconds and confirm that you have the basics of what I'm looking for. Here, you can really, like you said, you can create it's a vivid visual representation of who you are. Oh, sorry.
And we talked about connecting with JMU alum. I think that you had a great point, and my advice is to just be bold and send that invitation if they have that dream job. But Colleen reminded me, always send a note. So yeah, always send a note with it.
And what did we talk? Do you remember? So when we talk about a note, that, like, when you go to connect, it asks you the option. It even provides in the prompt. It says people are more likely to connect. And so, Kelly, what might you put in? What are the highlights to put in that note?
Hi, I saw you on my, is it timeline? Hi, I saw you on my feed. You went to JMU, and I'm really interested to hear about your background and how you got to your, I feel like this might even be too long for it. um, what your background is. I'm a CIS major at JMU too. I would love to connect. So,
Yep, perfect like that. You can pick out one individual thing off their LinkedIn profile. If they had an internship at a place that's like your dream internship, if you're like, wow, how did that person go from having an English degree to doing marketing for an aerospace company? I don't know, I made that one up, but it happens. And so if you have a curiosity about their path, that's what you want to put in that note.
and there are a lot of alumni on on LinkedIn, so you can go on the JMU page and click alumni and peruse. And
You can look, you see here, you can look up, you can sort by where they live now. So if you know you're going to relocate, not that the Harrisonburg is not a fabulous place for young people, but you could, if you want to relocate, you can look at where they work now. If you have a company already established, and the next tab there takes you where you can look up what they study or what the field that they're working in now. So I really encourage folks to take a look at what people are doing.
And I think that we kind of talked about engaging with companies and recruiters a little bit. Did we talk about